So here is the class syllabus that you can download from Sakai. Let's go through this section by section. First of all, it's Management 581, Corporate and Organizational Leadership. If that's not the class you want to be in, there are problems, and you need to get that straightened out right away. My name again is Dave Dunnett. It's kind of a strange name. My grandfather thought it was a good idea to spell it that way when he came to America. He was wrong. You should never have an AE in any word in English. Uh, but it's pronounced Dunnett. It's kind of a lot like donuts, but I'm not as holy, so that way you can remember a little bit how it's pronounced. And here's my email and my phone number. Probably connecting with me by email is the best. I'm pretty good at responding to email, so I should respond usually within a few hours and certainly within the next day if you have questions. You can also call me on the phone. My office is here in Azusa. I'm 4 minutes away from the campus, so if you ever want to meet together, we certainly can. So we just have to set up something like that, and we can do that. Let's go through the syllabus now and look at things section by section, some of the key sections here. Now, I really like the School of Business and Management mission statement. We passionately pursue academic excellence. So that's what this course is about, academic excellence, looking at the theories that have been discovered, proposed, and empirically tested that show what has a real effect in leadership. But it's not just academic, but we're also aiming for spiritual enrichment, personal growth, where you take this material and you try to apply it to your own life in a way that advances the work of God in business and society around the world. Now, this specific course description is this course examines the need for Christian business leaders to become transformational leaders as they orient others to the necessity of continuous change and improvement. So we're going to be looking at about a dozen theories and a dozen principles concerning leadership. And the one that most scholars favor now is what's known as transformational leadership. Transformational leaders is the model that best predicts success. Now, none of the models are going to be perfect. None of them are guaranteed to lead to success. But transformational leadership is generally scholarship's favorite model so far. And so we'll be emphasizing that when the time comes. Now, let's look at some of first of all, let's look at the required reading list. The first is Northhouse. That's this textbook, Leadership Theory and Practice, 6th edition. And it's a good textbook. It's not too complex. It's straightforward. It's very clear. It's published by Sage, so that means it's not too expensive. And it's currently in the 6th edition. Now, normally I say you can get an older edition if you want because not too much changes, but this 6th edition actually has a complete new chapter that's really good. So I think you'll want to get the 6th edition. And then we've got two books, one by Manns and some colleagues, called The Wisdom of Solomon at Work, which is an overview of some ideas found in the Old Testament that are relevant for Christians who want to live a Christ-like way in a work situation in the 20th century. And the second book, also by Manns, is The Leadership Wisdom of Jesus, which focuses on the New Testament, especially the teachings of Jesus. And so you'll be going through these books and looking for ideas that you find relevant to your own situation. Now I've got some recommended reading lists. The Leadership Challenge by Coos and Posner is really good. It could have been a required textbook, but I kind of prefer a Northhouse. It's just really good also, though. Now let's talk about the course requirements. There's going to be 4 main aspects to the course. One's going to be the online discussions. The second is going to be the personal assessments from the textbook. The third is going to be a leadership analysis project. And the fourth is going to be a final paper where you do some your own research and you develop an action plan. Now, before we look at these in detail, let's go to Sakai so that you can see where these things are. So here is Sakai. Now let's go to the course home. So this is what you see when you log on every day. Now, announcements will be showing up here, and I'll be making announcements regularly. Make sure you read these announcements so that you're not lost and so you follow what's going on. And then once you read the announcements, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the course menu. This course menu is the magic button that always gets you on track. So the course menu takes you to this introductory page where we've got the course syllabus. We've got this video that you're watching right now. We've got some instructions for week 1. We've got some specific instructions for every aspect of the course. But then over here is what you're going to be the most interested in. You click on each of the 9 different weeks to get to a list of everything you need to do for week 1. So for this week, week 1, you click there. And we start off with the topics that we'll talk about. There's an introductory video that I make that gives an introduction to the week, what reading you need to do, which will typically be 2 chapters in Northhouse and 1 section in Man's, and then occasionally there might be something else. And then there's the class forums. There's going to be 2 class forums. One is called Organizations and the Christ Follower, and that's to reflect on business context, business ideas from a Christian perspective. Now, what do you do if you're not a Christian, if you don't want to be a Christ follower? That's a little tough. What I would suggest is you can approach this from a couple different ways. You can discuss this form from what you think a Christ follower should do. Perhaps you're interested in considering becoming a Christ follower, and so you could discuss what the implications of that would be for the different context. Or you, rather than taking a Christ-centered framework, you can take your own values as the center and respond to the questions in light of your own personal values. The second forum will be on the textbook, the leadership theory, and there you'll be asked to apply or to provide examples of different things that we've been covering in the textbook that week. And then the personal assessment is the second section, and at the end of each chapter in our textbook, there is a little survey that you can take, a personal assessment, a self-test. Here's one on Chapter 11, the team leadership, and there's a team leader questionnaire, and you'll gain some insights into how you personally are relate to the different constructs and concepts that are covered during the week. And typically, you'll be reading two chapters per week, and most of the time, each chapter will have an assessment, and you choose whichever assessment you think is best. And now in week 1, there's no assessment in chapter 1, only in chapter 2, so you have to do the assessment for Northhouse chapter 2. So to get back to the higher level of course menu, you click on these 2 little red arrows there, and that'll get you back. And then so each week you'll go to course menu, and you'll click on the different weeks there to get you to the list of assignments. So always clicking on course menu and maybe going up with the red arrows will always get you back to this page so that you won't be lost in the course. Now, this is the first time that this course has been provided in this shell, so there might be typos here and there. If you see any typos, please let me know so that I can fix them. I want to get things perfectly clear. If there's a link that's inappropriate, that's dead, that takes you to the wrong place, let me know so that I can fix it. If something's not right, let me know. Now, let's look at the class discussions. Here is week 2 class discussions. We go to, let's see, sure, let's go to the leadership theory and go up here. And it says Leadership Theory, Northhouse, chapters 3 and 16. You click a a full description, and you can read what you're supposed to uh, uh, write about, and then you click Start a New Conversation, and you respond to the questions that I pose. And you can use these different formatting tools up here to make it look really nice. Make sure you use nice paragraphing and it's easy to read. You can use section titles. You can use bolding. You want to make it look really nice. Um, and if you want to have a web link, you can use this link there. You highlight the text, click that, and then create a web link. That's a good useful tool. And then you click on post, and that will save it there. And then after you make your main post, you'll respond to two other people's uh, uh, conversations, main posts that they've started. And so each week you'll make your own new conversation, which will be your main post, and you'll respond to two other people's main posts. Okay, let's go back to the syllabus here. And for these online discussions, like I said, there'll be two class discussions, two thread discussions, two online discussions each week, and you'll make one main post and two responses to other people's posts. And this is an interactive assignment, so you have to do it before the class deadline. No late assignments will be accepted on the class discussions. Each week, the week will end at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday evening, and so if you submit after 11:59, it won't count for the online discussions. You won't receive credit for it. It's an interactive assignment, and other people need to see this. Now, something a little scary that's going to happen if you're a procrastinator is that Sakai doesn't allow me to set the deadline at 11:59 p.m. It's got to be at 11:55. So if you submit a document or an assignment between 11:55 and 11:59 p.m. on Sunday evening, you're going to get a scary message that's saying that you're late. That's okay. I won't dock off points, but it's better not to procrastinate and not wait till late Sunday evening to submit. So, is there any other information on the online discussions we need? Yes. Let's see. It's you should refer to relevant texts that you cite simply using the inline text like Northhouse 2013, but you don't need a complete endnote reference. Just an in-text reference like that is good. When you respond to people's class discussions, you have to say something significant. You can't just say, "That's good. I agree with that," or "You demand." No, you've got to add new ideas and interact with the original poster's ideas. Now, my role in the discussions, I'll be reading all of the discussions and I will be commenting on some of them. I won't be commenting on all of them, but I'll comment on a good number of them. Well, I might comment on all of them. But I will especially be asking questions, and if I ask you a question, I'd really like you to respond to that question. So make sure you're tracking and responding to other people who post on your discussion thread, including me. Now, you should try to make your main post by Wednesday evening at 11:59 p.m. Get your main post up there, and that gives people time to read it and respond to what you put, and you can use the rest of the week to respond to other people's posts. But make sure you get everything done by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, including your two replies. There's the personal assessments that you do in the textbook. Let's go back to Sakai for that. So here we are in Sakai. Let's go to course menu. Course menu. Let's try going up a level. Sakai is responding really slowly. Okay, so we go to week 1. Here's the assessments. We can click on the assessment link there, and it takes you to an assignment page where you can submit the assignment. When you Let's see if I can get a student view here. Let's go back to week 1, personal assessment. You'll get a text box, and you can either type your a 2-page paper up about the your assessment. I want you to have a summary of the concept being measured. So talk about what was measured, report a report and an analysis of your results, and a personal reflection on what your results mean. And you can either notice how there's 2 bars here. Sometimes it's a little tricky to navigate because you've got the 2 bars there. You can either type into directly about 2 pages worth of stuff in the box here, or you can just take a Word document and select, and you can upload this file as an attachment. That might be the easiest, because if you do it in Word, you get the spelling and grammar checker. Now, in the class discussions, don't upload a Word document. Always make sure that you're typing in the text box so that everybody can read it real easily. Okay, so let's exit student view. Go back to, then we're back to the course menu. Let's go back to the syllabus. So these should be about 2 pages double spaced, so about 600 words. You'll have 1 2-page assessment to do every week, except during weeks 6 and 8 when other papers are due. The next 2 papers are due during weeks 6 and 8. So the third project is your first paper, and it's called the Leadership Analysis Project. And it's going to be a 5 to 7 page paper and a video. And for the 5 to 7 page paper, what you're going to do is you're going to analyze a leader. It can be a historical leader or some leader that you've never met, and you can do research, online research. Maybe if you have a book on a leader, you could get information from books. And you do a case study analyzing that leader's life. Or, and this choice is the choice that I prefer, you can interview an actual leader. I want you to choose someone that you know personally who plays a role of a significant who plays a significant leadership role in some organization, and choose someone that you can interview for 30 to 45 minutes, where you take good notes and maybe even record what your interview, and ask them about their leadership experiences. And if possible, and if the leader agrees to it, you might want to ask people that work under him or her or colleagues about that person's leadership, what they contribute. And you can also contribute your own experiences with this leader. So if you want to use your own supervisor, you can do that if you think that this leader, your supervisor, is a good example of a leader. Now, for either way, either the case study from written sources or an actual interview of a leader, I want you to describe, first of all, the context of leader, the organization, the leader's role in the organization, the mission of the organization, the leader's approach to leadership. What do they do to influence each other? Use the tools in the class that or the models in the class that we cover to describe what the leader is doing, and reflect on how you're making your conclusions. You can talk about the leader's contribution to the organization. You can talk about what controversies the leader has encountered and how the leader's dealt with them, and also what legacy will this leader leave once he or she leaves the organization or retires. And then reflect on some personal leadership lessons that you can apply to your own life from this leader's life. So this will be a 5 to 7 page paper, APA format, double spaced, with a cover page and a reference pages. And then I also want you to make a 7 to 10 minute video presentation that you'll upload on YouTube. Now, if you're not familiar with making videos, you'll get experience in this class doing that. I've given you some links that might be useful. You can use, if you have a PC, you can use Movie Maker, which is a free program from Microsoft. Screencast-O-Matic is a real easy to use online program. Um, however, you won't be able to edit videos using Screencast-O-Matic unless you pay for um, uh, uh, the deluxe version. And then you can upload them on YouTube, and you can upload them in uh, what's known as hidden mode. And that way, when you do a Google search for dancing cats or something like that, your video will not be available to Google. It'll stay hidden, and only people that you share the link with will be able to see it. Um, you can record it on your phone if that would be easier, perhaps with an app like iMovie, something like that. And so this first paper will be due at week 6, and then by the end of week 7, you need to post your video. Now, your final paper is going to be due in week 8, and it's going to be a little bit longer, 8 to 13 pages. And what you're going to do is you're going to choose one key area of leadership theory that interests you and research it more in depth than what the book provides. Let's look at some of the topics that I suggest: power, goals, traits of leaders, leadership styles, transformational leadership, authentic leadership, and so on. Some of these are chapter titles. Some of them are topics inside of a chapter. You can choose pretty much anything that you want having to do with leadership. And if you want to choose something not on the list, I'll most likely approve it. And during week 5, there's a little assignment where you just submit your topic for your final paper, and I'll take a look at it and let you know that that's okay, most likely. There's the format basically to follow is an introduction, including your own context, because you're doing this research to apply to your own situation. So you want to introduce the topic. You want to give the background on the leadership theory that you're talking about, or the leadership principle, and you want to go beyond what's in the textbook and include at least 3 to 5 other scholarly sources. And then I want you to provide an example, either something that you've actually seen, or write up a case study that will be like we'll be looking at several times during the course, and then talk about some personal application objectives and goals, how you'd like to change your life in light of the information that you've done research on. So that's the final program. You'll turn in your topic at the end of week 8. The papers will be due in week 8, and then we're going to post the papers so that each other can read them, and we'll discuss those in week 9. Here we have the page with our weekly schedule. So we have 9 weeks. Each week we'll basically be looking at two chapters in North House, a section in one of the Mann's books, and sometimes an additional article. There'll be the personal assessment, and then there'll be two class discussions, which I didn't put on here, but every week there'll be 2 class discussions. Week 5, you'll need to submit your final paper topic. Week 6 is the leadership analysis project. That's your interview with another leader, and there won't be any assessment due that week. Week 7, you'll post your video project and comment on each other's. Week 8, the final paper will be due, and week 9 will be another personal assessment plus comments on each other's final papers. For grading, the class discussions are a little bit more than a third. The personal assessments are about a fifth, and the remaining have to do with the leadership analysis project, paper and video, and the final paper. What else should you know? I'm looking for clarity in your papers. I'd really like to see well-written papers that are well-refined and very clear. Late policy is something important. I said previously that you can't submit class discussions uh, after Sunday at 11:59 p.m. But the other assignments, if you're late, I'll accept them, but there'll be a 20% penalty. So make sure you get them in because it's really only a 20% penalty, and so it'd be far better to get any late assignments in than to skip them. All right. Well, I think that is pretty much it for an introduction to the course. Uh, Feel free to email me or call me for any questions that you have. I'm looking forward to spending this 9 weeks with you, and I hope you find this to be an extremely useful course.